Urban Jungles Radio, Urban Jungles Radio. Urban Jungles Radio, Urban Jungles Radio.
It's the world famous Urban Jungles Radio.
But anyway, we are not in the business of disappointing you, which is why we have an amazing guest for you this evening. My guest is the founder and the director of Shark Aid International, which is an international organization based on shark conservation and advocacy. So for sure, please give a warm Jungle Junkie welcome to Alex Wright. Alex, you with us, bud?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hey, man. Excellent. How are you, brother? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, good, man. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. Yeah, you have a really cool thing going on, man. Thanks for talking to us about Shark Aid International.
Oh, my pleasure.
I love the fact that you had these kind of humble beginnings, because you guys really just started up a couple of years ago. So in just a couple of years, you've seemingly made some really significant strides in helping sharks, man. Good on you.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, we started in 2012, and especially this last year, it's been really skyrocketing. Me and my US coordinator, who works, like, we're both out here now, but she kind of runs the US stuff out here. This year we've both been really busy and working hard to make it what it is.
Very cool. So I read your intro to the organization as far as how it is that you actually got involved with doing this, but I want to know just a little bit about, like, what it was you did before you got involved with sharks. I mean, are you involved in any kind of research or anything, or are you just somebody who's just so inspired that you decided to get up and change the world for them?
Yeah, I mean, I never did any kind of work or research or anything, directly with sharks before Shark Aid. But then it was just since I was a little kid, I've always loved sharks. It actually started from a picture book that my mum got me of just loads of different photos of sharks, and ever since then, it's just been a lifelong passion.
Very cool, man. It definitely evokes a lot of passion in people, which is a great thing, because we want that. We want people to fear them less and to figure out what those of us who are passionate about sharks already know, is that they're just completely amazing animals.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously their kind of number one threat is the misunderstanding, how everyone thinks they're, murderous blood-killing machines, when it's actually quite opposite.
Yeah, you definitely got a huge battle ahead of you as far as changing people's minds about sharks, especially given the public attitude towards them. We, as you may have just heard, we definitely do a lot of advocacy work for other animals, the less cuddly types like rattlesnakes. But man, sharks, it's a tough sell to the general public. Are people generally receptive to what it is you guys are teaching them?
No, exactly what you're saying, really. If people that really like sharks, they obviously love to support and love to get on board. But then to get new people, it's quite hard, because obviously, cuter looking animals like tigers and bears and pandas and things, they all get loads of deserved attention, of course. But then obviously, when, like you say, with snakes and sharks, people are less inclined to listen to you. And obviously, it's like you say, it's a hard mission, but definitely a mission that needs to be done, and we both enjoy doing it. So
excellent. So I mean, here in the U.S., you guys are based out of Florida, and you're kind of witness to the constant daily conflict between humans and sharks there, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. In conflict, maybe in our terms, is the wrong word, because we definitely, if we hear of any sharks or know of any good spots to go, we definitely will try and go there and research and do things ourselves. Like, it's definitely one of the main reasons I moved here from England. Obviously, was because of the sharks.
Yeah, and you guys actually offer like dives and things to be able to see the sharks up close, right?
We do. We do through like collaborations with other organisations. We don't actually have a boat until the end of this year. Nice. So we work with other friends. Like, there's a group called Epic Diving who do really good stuff in Bahamas, and then we've got a guy who does he's called Keys Shark Diving, who does like diving trips and free dive trips in the Keys.
Nice.
And you actually have a diving trip coming up soon, right, in April?
Yes, we do. Yeah, April 4th and 7th, and that's with Epic Diving, and they it's with oceanic white-tip reef sharks, and they are like beautiful, placid sharks, very very inquisitive, but not in the sense that they want to see if they can eat you or not. Just inquisitive to see who's sharing their space, which obviously makes for better encounters and stuff, because they're not shy to come up and say hello at least.
Mm. Have you guys run? I mean, have you run a few of these before yet?
We haven't done anything with Epic Diving, but we've done a trip with Key Shark Diving before, and where it was a reef trip, and we saw some nurse sharks, which are obviously, again, another friendly species of shark, very shy, and that was amazing. That was actually the first trip I did out here, so for me that was a big eye opener.
Nice. I was gonna say, like, what I imagine nobody who encounters these animals in a situation like that ever walks away with anything less than awe and amazement. I mean, I can't tell people enough how important it is if you have the opportunity to get out there and see sharks, in their natural habitat. Do it, by all means. Do it. They're not going to come after you.
Even most of the time they'll swim away from you because they'd be much more scared. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's definitely something. Even if you're not a particular fan of sharks, obviously for people like me, obviously it's on your bucket list and things. But for instance, I went when I did cage diving in Cape Town in South Africa with great white sharks. I went with my friend Will, and he's not a particular fan of sharks. He was just there because we was on holiday, and he knew that he had to come and do the cage diving because he knew it would be an amazing experience. And then after we did it, I was like, "How do you feel about that, dude?" And he said, "It's like one of the best things he's ever done."
That's awesome.
I have to say,
man.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and just obviously through things like that, that's how you can change people's perspective on sharks.
Yeah, because I don't know, even myself included, anybody who's ever had the experience ever walked away with anything but just like, oh my God, that was like almost spiritual. Here you are, and you're in the water with this infamous animal, and it wasn't bad, and it was actually kind of awesome. Like I have to tell you, I mean, there's few things that I really fear as far as animals go. In the sense that I'm pretty comfortable around working around most things, but sharks are always one of those things in the back of my mind. I'm not scared of them, but it's like, I always pictured myself in the whole like survival situation where you're floating around the ocean, especially at night. And it's like, that totally freaked me out. Yeah. Up until the point where I actually swam with a shark, but it wasn't like an intended thing. It was like a total accidental encounter, of a real wild shark out in the middle of the Pacific. And it literally was life-changing. Ever since that, I developed such an extreme fascination and appreciation for them. And I think everybody needs to experience that. I mean, unfortunately, you can't experience these sharks over the internet. You have to really do it in person. And what a great outfit to do it with you guys. I mean, that would be amazing to go out with you guys, a bunch of people who can actually appreciate them like that.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to do. Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you guys ever can, and anyone that's listening ever wants to come, of course, just email us at sharkaidsintl@live.com, and we're always happy to hear from people, and we'll do what we can, to get people out there and see sharks. It's definitely. It's an amazing thing to show people, and obviously for us, it's amazing to just get in the water with them. So
nice. That would be that'd be awesome for sure. I mean, so in your eyes, obviously you are very involved in what goes on with sharks worldwide. What are one of the biggest threats that, in your opinion, these days for sharks?
Well, obviously there's the infamous shark finning, which has definitely taken a huge toll on the global shark populations. And then there's obviously overfishing, which is another great one. And obviously currently there's a big thing, I don't know if you've heard about it, in Australia, like Western Australia, where they've decided to do like a shark culling. So they're putting out drum lines with baited hooks out, and just reeling in sharks. And it's been quite sad watching the news unroll with all these dead sharks that they're catching, or sharks that they don't kill but end up severely damaging and then releasing back into the wild because it's had this massive hook in its head. So things like that.
Well, I applaud you guys. I want to applaud you guys for a second, because I know that you were part of a large group of organizations that addressed the West Australian shark cull that's currently going on in effect, and I want to thank you for that, because it seriously is a travesty. How did we get to the point where we're back to this? I mean, that's obviously why is that? Can you explain why that is ineffective as far as a means to quote protect people it goes?
I know, really. I mean, I suppose if I was to start explaining, I'd definitely say there's a bit of stupidity in there. It's something that's, it's for some reason it's a political decision when it shouldn't be. It's definitely something that, deserves science and deserves reason and facts. Whereas this is a decision made by a minority, people around the table, when there's obviously thousands of people who know the truth, that support sharks. And are, with all the protests and stuff that are actually going on this weekend, there's enough evidence for anyone to see that this isn't the way to solve the problem, as they would say it is. So that's why I say stupidity, because it's something that's been chosen to be political when it definitely isn't politics.
I don't disagree. It's stupidity in its highest form. It's obviously not a viable means to, protect people. I think, people just really have a hard time with the fact that they might not always be up on the top of the food chain. And I mean, we have a hard time understanding that if we're going to go into the ocean, it's not our right to be there. I mean, that just drives me crazy.
Exactly. If you really want to avoid sharks, don't go in the water. Hang out at your internet cafe. Hang out on the sand. I mean, don't go into the water.
It's quite simple, isn't it?
Well,
exactly. And if you go into the water, just understand and respect. Like, if someone comes into your house, like a burglar, say, they're not just going to come into your house and think they're going to get away with it. Same thing with sharks. You don't go into their house and think you're going to get away with it. And because I'm not saying that they're obviously going to attack. Of course, they're not going to all the time. But it's just a case of, like I say, understanding and respect.
It's just common sense. I mean, I can't tell you how many times just this year had the experience where we were down in Florida, and a couple 100 yards up the beach, somebody spotted a shark, and the whole coastline just cleared out of the water. Well, first of all, my kids weren't leaving anyway because they're having a good time in the water. So we stayed in the water like literally 6 inches into the water. I mean, it was not, and people were looking at us like we had 3 heads. I'm like, do people think this is Shamu? Do you think it's going to slide up onto the sand and take you? Like, the fear is crazy. It's crazy. And I think, and obviously, we always hear that, this is influenced by Jaws, this whole entire cultural fear that we have ingrained into us. But you would think, what's it been? Like 30 years now? 40 years?
That was in the 70s,
40, I think it was 74 it came out.
And what doesn't help is, the mass media's approach to, shark attacks, and how many thousands and millions of people go into beaches every day, summer, springtime, at various points across the world. And how many shark attacks really happen in the large, eye of it all?
How do you feel?
Exactly.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, how do you feel about the way that sharks are perceived on TV shows like we see on Discovery Channel and Animal Planet, Shark Week per se?
Like villainized.
Well, I definitely think that, as we were talking about Jaws just then, Jaws has somehow left this really bad mark on Shark's reputation, and things like Shark Week even as well. There's obviously some good programming on Shark Week that speaks about real facts and different species of sharks, but most of it's about the great white and how it's and attacks. It's like all reconstructions of this guy who got attacked once and stuff like that, and it just doesn't help anything. It's fair enough, it might entertain people for the week it's on, but all it does is further the bad reputation. And obviously, everyone, when you close your eyes and think of a shark, everyone thinks of Jaws like a great white shark, where there's so many species that are tiny little things that would obviously you'd never see. And then there's whale sharks and basking sharks, the biggest, who they're plankton eaters. They would never go near a human to eat. And it's just kind of, it's sad, really, the fact that TV and media obviously have such a massive power, and it's a tool that they could use for good, but they just use it for rating.
Oh, man. That's like one of my bucket list things is swimming with a whale shark.
Yeah,
That's pretty
me
amazing.
too.
You guys are
I'm
involved,
done, mate.
aren't you guys involved? I know that one of your goals is to do some research with whale sharks, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're planning some research on February 21st of February. Obviously, I don't want to give away too much now.
Yeah, no. It's okay, I understand.
But yeah, we do plan to do some, and that'll be my first time that I've done anything with whale sharks. That would be incredible.
Oh, so jelly. That's crazy.
But then I know this. I think Susie, if I'm right, has worked with whale sharks before. So
wow, that's great, man. I'm so jealous. That's great that you guys are doing it. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of whale sharks, but I mean, unfortunately, whale sharks made a huge impact in the news this week. What do you guys think about this horrible situation where they discovered an abattoir?
Disgusting. Everyone already knows that how much China has an effect on shark populations because of the finning and how they're one of the main culprits. And then for this for another thing to come up is just, a real kick in the air.
What was most shocking to me about this is the fact that it turns out that North Americans tend to be the consumers of this.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's that obviously China are the ones doing it and the suppliers, but then one of the main markets is North America, which is unfortunate because it's like obviously for the fish oil is a bit of a health craze, especially like in America and parts of Europe as well.
What are you hoping is going to happen going forward with that whole situation?
Well, I know they're getting in a lot of trouble recently. I've seen, obviously I have to read up on these things every day. And I've seen a lot of news. People, they've been, obviously that the fact that they've been spotted, and this company, I think they're called Wildlife Risk, was the organisation who did the whole investigation. They've just brought it to light, so obviously that now opens up the whole situation to hopefully shut them down as soon as possible. That's obviously the best goal.
But do you think that's something that is possible, considering how much we're trying to influence or trying to get that information out there, that something like this has been going on for years as part of their culture, like the shark finning? Do you think that's something that we could change in the next 10 years?
I definitely hope so, and obviously we definitely work towards that along with every other shark conservation organisation. It's just something that, like we were talking about, getting the message across. It's just something that people do need to realise, that if something isn't done in the next 10 to 20 years, that we will see sharks disappear, different species will disappear, and then they become legends, like Megalodon, for instance. They become something that everyone wanted to see and everyone wanted to hear about, but they will be no more, and it'll be too late. People go, why didn't we do something about it? And that's why it's about working towards it now to make sure it doesn't get too late.
What's the world going to be like without sharks?
Sad, and everything changes. Not directly, but if sharks are they're at the top of their ecosystem in the ocean. They control and balance the ocean, and if they're taken out of it, other animals then step up, which changes the ocean, and then if the ocean changes, land also changes, and then there you go, everything changes.
Right. Wow, it's scary.
So it's something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's just something that people, it sounds so dire. How can it be true? And that tends to turn a lot of heads, and it's something that is actually happening now, and something does need to be done about it now.
Dire. It's so bad right now. People don't understand. In the time that you and I have talked here in this interview, I mean, we've probably already lost like 50 sharks, statistically speaking, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, I'm so glad that people like you guys are out there, and Shark Aid International is working so hard to kind of even the playing field for these guys. Hopefully it's not too late, because we really are, like I said just before, in really a bad situation as far as sharks go. What are some of the things that we can do to get more involved with Shark Aid International and help sharks?
Well, through getting involved, we don't get paid for our work. We don't take any money. Everything that we get goes straight back in to the organisation and doing our projects and campaigns and things. So it's just a case of, and there's many other organisations like us as well. So I'll never just say, "Oh, come to us." Obviously, I want everyone to support Shark Aid, but it's the message. It's definitely something that people need to. If we need to be a gateway for people to see everything, then we're happy to do that. We just want people to come and join us, and then learn a bunch of things that they even knew already, that they can share with other people, or things that they didn't know, which then they can take and adapt themselves with through our website and through our social media stuff. And then through all of that, we've made it real simple, and it's very, very direct and open how people can get involved with us and how people can go and see sharks and what to do about shark conservation, where to go, and all these kind of things. We've made it very easy. So even our thing is directed at all ages. It's obviously sometimes it's hard to be so graphic with children and things, but we've got things that kids can learn from, and we've got things that adults can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys definitely look like you have fun doing it. I see you have meetings at restaurants and things like that. That's such a great idea. Nice, I like that.
Yeah, I don't think we could do that.
We're getting in trouble up here, Alex. We're like that. Andy's a troublemaker. We can't take him out to public.
It's always me. I'm always the problem.
Well, Alex, thank you so much. We want to extend our hand and do anything we possibly can for Shark Aid International. We are 100% behind you and back what it is that you guys are doing. If there's ever anything we can do as far as getting notice out to the public, helping you out with events, anything whatsoever, please don't hesitate to ask. We love what you do, and we love the fact that people like you are out there and passionate and working to help save our sharks, because they need it.
Oh, thanks, man. That's very kind, and definitely, I'd very much like to build up some sort of relationship between our companies and organisations, and help each other out, because you guys do an amazing thing as well. You're spreading the word of not just one organisation. You're spreading the word of many different conservation messages, which are important and people do need to hear. So it's very, very nice of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll definitely do our best to make 2014 the year of the shark in an unofficial kind of way. Let's do some big things.
Do it official.
Let's do some big things for sharks this year.
Every year is the year for the shark.
Hey, man. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate your time, and keep up the great work, brother.
Urban Jungles Radio, Urban Jungles Radio.